From an example of a healthy friendship to discussing toxic friendships. Now, let's face it, life isn't always a box of chocolates, and friendships can turn rocky and even sour. But how do we know when a friendship has become toxic or even already toxic in nature? We're about to find out with social worker uThobeka Phumlile Mbokazi. Welcome to the show, Sis Thobeka.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy and glad to be here.
Sis Thobeka, just to start the conversation, what does it mean to be in a toxic relationship, and how are you able to tell once a relationship has turned toxic?
The moment it feels wrong, it often is exactly that. So when you feel in any type of way and you feel as if it's negative, we often tend to ignore our sixth sense, but the feeling is there. It's a human nature, it's absolutely natural, but we decide just to ignore and hoping the person will change, hoping that there will be maybe just me misreading or me over-analyzing some situation. But the number one threat that you can see is the lack of attention, the support that you're not receiving. And sometimes when you speak to someone and sharing your personal situations or personal stories, they tend to belittle you and say, oh, your story is better. At least you haven't gone through what I had gone through, and not actually giving you the way to explain what has happened, what you had gone through, and how you are truly feeling. And they just interrupt you in the middle of your conversation and in the middle of you trying to share your feelings, and they compare themselves to you. The second one could be jealousy.
Yes. You know, a lot of people, when it comes to friendships, I feel two ways about the jealousy topic, because a lot of times, girl, ain't nobody jealous of you. We're just trying to advise you and help you. But sometimes it is blatant and it is quite obvious. So how do we break down looking at that jealousy aspect?
Okay. There's a positive type of jealousy, and then there's a negative aspect of it. So it becomes toxic and poisonous, for a lack of a better word, when someone envies you to the extreme, when it's just too good to be true. When whenever that you are, for example, when you're dressed up in a particular way, they say, oh, you look great perhaps in that outfit, but there's always a but. There's always a but.
And you know, when you speak about there's a positive side of jealousy and a negative side of jealousy, for me, I actually want to, if you would allow me, Sis Swami, to take away the word jealousy within the positive realm and say there's positive inspiration. Yes. You can be inspired by someone. Definitely. You can find it inspiring and uplifting, or you can just downright be jealous. And sometimes if they lean on the jealousy, it introduces gossip.
Gossip. There we go. Gossip. And if we talk about gossip, it can be a negative, because as a friend, we expect someone to offer the support, to be the strength, to be the shoulder that you need. But when your confidentiality is taken away from you in a form of jealousy and in a form of gossip, meanwhile you are just confiding in a person, not knowing that the person that you are confiding in is actually the person behind your downfall. And gossip is speaking ill of the other person, obviously, and with an intention of trying to bring them down. And as you also mentioned, that there is difference and a variety between jealousy and envy. You think the person envies you, but meanwhile, behind the scene, it's not exactly what you perceive.
Another thing that I personally have experienced, and, you know, we kind of touched base with it with Aisha and Akila's conversation, having friends in the same industry can be extremely supportive and uplifting, but also being in the entertainment space, and I suppose in any aspect or industry, there can be people who always want to put themselves in the center, always what I call it a God complex. When someone, or main character syndrome, where you always have to be staring.
The center of attention, that can be a negative. Because sometimes whatever that we do is, in a nutshell, motivated by our upbringing. Most often we tend to think, no, my friend turned out to be this way because of A, B, and C, because of how he or she was raised. But at the same time, it can also be not because of how you were raised, because your background does not always have to determine how you turn out to be. For example, when there's water in a pot and you put an egg, and then the egg might harden on the outside, and then you're able to have and feast on the boiled egg. But when you put in a potato, the potato will be easy for you to consume.
Wow.
But you can't consume an egg without you peeling off the shells from the egg. Nah? So it depends how you view and how you take your situation, meaning the boiling water in your life at that time.
It either hardens you or it softens you like a potato.
Yes.
I love that analogy, and I'm definitely going to take it forth with me. Thank you so much, Sis Thobeka, but we're not done with you. We're still going to continue to unpack this important topic a little bit later.
All right. Thank you.
Now, this is a lot to take in, but a very serious issue that may sometimes be hard to deal with. But after the break, we are going to talk some more about how to remove yourself from a toxic friendship.